Sets down and only one more to go, at least for today, here in the North American Challenger Circuit qualifier bracket. My name is J-Mac. Joining me is going to be Charlie here, set number 4. Lean into it versus SOPS time on the lower end here of the winner's bracket. Still, though, the winner's bracket, which means that the winner of this set will qualify into the North American SCC and take that 4th of the 6 spots available. Charlie, having you here on this set, it's going to be a great one.
We finally got a three game set that last game.
We did.
Yeah,
that was our first one of today, second one of the tournament so far in these 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, looking at this roster, they definitely have the skill to back that up. They could have this could go to 3 game set is what I'm trying to say here. And obviously, it's going to be a difficult one, as we've been talking about a little bit here. The God picks along these sides, you're rubbing you the wrong way here. That Mando Warrior specifically doesn't like playing those warriors in the solo lane. I just wanted to bring that up because I had to tell you that I have some insider information. He might try to play some warriors. Who knows?
Well, maybe we'll see it here in our final match of the day. Lean into it versus SOPS time. Our 4th and final one here. We've already sent 3 teams to the NASCC. That was Vamps with a 2 over Great Gentlemen, Sturdy Artisans with their 2 over Leoncitos, and Samsara with our 2-1 in our last set. Obviously, the loser of this falls down to the loser's bracket, and then they'll have to go through their whole little rigmarole there before we even get to Mando Warrior, because, yeah, I may have a bone to pick with him. It's only because I've known the guy for so long. I've seen so many of his God picks. We got to talk about Lean Into It first. A team somewhat relatively unknown players, but at the same time, some very big names in the scene. Bitey over in the dual lane in that Hunter role. Valo and Vi, who had some great runs when they were here for that SPL qualification stage. Specifically, kind of those two I kind of want to dive a little bit into because it really seems that this meta seems to have formulated very well with these 2 players, Charlie.
I think so. They're playing to this style where they can actually hard carry their roles right now. Like you said, not too many names that we recognize, but they've been having a great showing at this tournament thus far, playing around their jungler Valo as well. This Cabrakan pick, he looked really solid on. I liked his build a lot where he went into that breastplate into the Void Stone so he could kill, not only targets with physical damage but also magical damage. I thought it synergized very well here, but I like a lot how they play off their jungler Valo, like I was just saying.
Yeah, Valo has been a key player for them. If I'm not mistaken, he also has one of my favorite plays from the SPL qualifiers. But before we even go about that, it's so hard to get one person on a Petrify stun. You usually get at least 2 or 3 you might get with, the turnaround, you slow them down at the least. You can never ask for too much more than getting 3 people stunned with that single ultimate. Pretty clutch play there out of Bitey in the Hunter role there. But Valo might have one of my favorite plays from SPL qualifiers. I believe is the one where he drop-kicked a Bastet Cat for a kill in mid lane. Still rings as one of my favorite all-time moments in Smite history. But you throw Vi in here, and this meta really seems to kind of formulate. Actually, I was informed that was against Valo and Vi, so they were on the receiving end of that one, actually. Thank you so much, production, for correcting me on that. It's been some time here. But going back here, man, Vi in this mid lane has really been impressing nonetheless.
Yeah, I think so as well. And another thing to bring up here, I mean, they've been playing super well, as we've been saying, but they also have been playing a lot off that God Agent A in the solo lane. I know I didn't mention him earlier. I was talking about Valo, but God Agent A had a pretty sick solo kill that I just remember that where he predicted the Achilles ult, got the land under the tower. Just some beautiful plays all around, and I'm very excited to see how they synergize well together against this SOPS time roster.
Yeah, they're going up against SOPS time, like you mentioned here. Team and players who have been around the scene for a very long time, especially in the SCC. Mando Warriors, SOPS, Big Yuji, who's being subbed out for Chin Fu once again here this set. And I think a lot is to be said about a sub coming into a team and performing at the level that Chin Fu really did. I mean, I know Mifflin gave me a little bit of flack for how much I was talking about it last week, but it's kind of hard not to whenever he's coming out, and even in a game where he's losing, he's like 5-2.
Yeah, I did have it on my notes how it's kind of difficult for a team to, get used to playing with a sub. There's different play styles, different comms to get used to, things of that nature. But it seems like Chinfu has meshed quite well into this new roster. I mean, I know that he's been subbing for a little bit now, so maybe that's sort of why there's not that rust to dust off. But I think Chinfu has been playing extremely well given the circumstance.
Between him, SOPS in that mid lane has been performing very well. Another kind of meta that really works well for this player there. Mando Warrior actually, I believe, played 3 Warriors during that set, and the other one may not have been the best of performances out there. Actually, it wasn't a third warrior. It was the Bastet solo, but it looked really well. And I asked him, I said, you're playing the Warriors. If you can work on hitting those Bastet ultimates, it really do wonders. And he said you wouldn't understand their zoning ultimates. So maybe a few of those zoning ults can come clutch for him here in this set.
Oh, I've had a few zoning ults in my day. He did end up landing that one at the very least. So hopefully Mando puts on a show for us, obviously, in that solo lane. But regardless, whatever he decides to pick, he always does have a solid showing. And if they do elect to play, a lot of people have been playing off that solo lane specifically in this tournament. I mean, we were talking a lot about the duo lane, which is more so what people have been trying to put their attention to. But the solo lane also right now has been a very high contention point. That mid lane's pretty much just been let alone.
I mean, solo lane has been one of the hottest picks on the market right now. Let's see if that solo is where the priority is here. Picks and bans for game number 1 of Lean Into It versus SOPS time. SOPS time going to be on the second pick this time around. Gives them those 2 options they can grab immediately afterward. We've been seeing such heavy priority for Bastet. Amaterasu has been one of the number 1 solo lane gods either picked or banned right away. And I guess to also throw Bastet in that same kind of curveball there, if solo laners that are getting picked up, which is still strange to me to say that over the course of we never see Bastet to Bastet's always being played in the jungle to now like her primary role as solo lane is wild. But Fenrir, no surprise, being banned away here. Maybe more surprise that's being banned away first though, Trelly.
The Fenrir, you know, at this point, I feel like it's just one of those picks you don't want to deal with. If you see it banned away, it's just not so much that you're like, oh, this guy's got a great Fenrir, we don't want to flex it. It's just, I don't want to deal with Ragnarok. I don't want to deal with the early pressure that it brings. So that makes a lot of sense to me right now, as well as that Kabrakan being taken away from Valo. We just saw a little bit of the highlight reel of what he's able to do on that pick as well. So not only is it a strong pick that can just, you know, get a lot of pressure in the jungle, you can also flex it to the other roles if you would like to. We just know Valo's got a solid Kabrakan. They just want to take that one away right away.
Not just the Fenrir, Gilgamesh, and Bellona banned away, so there's some more of that solo lane and jungle presence going to be taken away on the side of Lean Into It. Stops time, as you said, the Kabrakan and the Amaterasu, and then the Serket, who has also been a top flex support / jungle god, assassin specifically, that will be banned away here. So pretty much every one of these guys, I mean, I guess aside from the Bellona and Amaterasu, which means not really all, like 66% of the gods, has some pretty high flexibility as for what roles they're being picked up in. But maybe the more surprising one is the Achilles first pick here. We saw it last set. It did all right. I mean, it did the best that it could there, but Achilles is a god that went from like #1 solo lane pick ban for the longest time at the end of Season 8 to now being a very sporadic pick here in Season 9.
I was just going to bring up that it's a solid counter into that Khepri, but it looks like SOPS time, they don't really care about that. They see the Achilles and they say, we're going to pick the Khepri anyways. They have the Izanami, so they have crazy pressure in the dual lane regardless. Maybe they're not too worried about the fact that he can execute through that Scarab's Blessing, so that seems to be not a point of contention that they're really confused about. But we did see the Achilles in the jungle, which, again, you could flex this wherever you want to at this point, the solo lane or the jungle. It does have great pressure in the jungle, but specifically, I mean, that Achilles pick into the Khepri, that scares me a little bit, but it seems like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Even though Valo didn't get to have the Kabrakan this time around, Vi will get to pick out that Persephone one more time. Then you couple that now with a Ganesh for Boyden over in that support role. Lean Into It. A very strong top 3 right now. Could be that mid 3v3 combination of the mid jungle if this Achilles is going that way, and then throw the Ganesh support role. And then a Camazotz. Another one of those gods who dominated the last end at the tail end there of season 8, and now coming into season 9. Saw a couple of nerfs, some cooldowns specifically on his jump and on his mobility with the ultimate as well. Kind of seen a little bit less favoritism, but still seeing at least some kind of preference here, Trelly. Yeah,
I think Camazotz into the Persephone is a pretty nice matchup. You can always blink in, try to force her to that leap very early on, go into the back out of hell to avoid the ultimate. So I think Camazotz has a lot of outplay potential if he is trying to go onto that Persephone specifically, but also it's just a safe pick that provides a lot of damage, right? Camazotz is one of those picks that you don't be like, ooh, we don't want to pick it into this, we want to pick it into that. Camazotz doesn't really care right now. He's just kind of safe.
Couple of assassin bans out here, Daji and Bastet, banned away by SOPS time, which I'm surprised that the Bastet made it to 10th ban almost here on this side by SOPS time. And then Lean Into It will take away the Nike and Baba Yaga, which has had a little bit of sneaky success over here in that mid lane. That does leave Agni up now for the mid lane to be picked up, which is, again, surprising that Agni has made it this far. Thought is still available, but not going to be picked up, obviously, because Persephone is already there. And then currently hovering a Kalina. I did get word from Billy, our guy behind the scenes, who gives us a lot of great information throughout here. Apparently the A potentially stands for Achilles on God Agent A, or God Agent Achilles, it's been known. And Billy, quoted by Billy, as someone who's played against it, I just had to share that information to you.
everyone
So, God
feel
Agent
my
Achilles as the
pain.
potential here, and with the clean locked in, looks like we could be seeing that.
If Billy thought enough to warn us, and this is definitely that first pick Achilles, they said, let's get God Agent A on his signature pick, and it looks like they're very confident in it because, again, they picked it with Khepri on the table, and they took, I mean, let me rephrase that. They have it in case that matchup comes through, and of course, they picked the Khepri into it, which only enhances that matchup, of course. So, and the Kleena is going to be their jungle of choice, which surprising that it makes it this far through, but I guess people aren't really fearing the Kleena anymore. I guess it was kind of like a flavor of the month sort of thing where we've seen Magic Feet pick it up a little bit as we saw last match, but besides that, not too many people are really slamming the Cleanus.
No, I haven't been seeing her a whole lot. Even since her debut, we had little sparks of her here and there, a jungle game here, a solo lane game there, but she hasn't really been at the forefront of the conversation for a lot of these junglers as of recent times. Medusa, the last god locked in for Lean Into It, and then Nemesis on the opposite side, so we do get the jungler there. Game number 1 between Lean Into It and SOPS time. Here to go. Winner of this set moves into the NASCC. Loser goes down into the losers bracket. J-Mac and Charlie joining me here, and Doug here in game number 1 of this momentous set. And it will be God Agent Achilles this time around. So he's going to be taking that potential signature pick, and we'll see if it can bring his team success here in this game.
It seems like your and Mando's Twitter beef just was all fake because he just slammed the Camazotz. There will be no warriors.
Yeah, that's definitely not a warrior.
Yeah, no, he baited you. He is going to stick with this Camazotz. You know, a good pick in its own right, and I do actually think that that the Death Toll start gets a good bit of value on this Camazotz. He's not particularly an auto attack character. We've seen some bluestone on him as well, but with the cleave auto and just the crazy amount of sustain that Camazotz brings, I actually do like the Death Toll Berserker start on him as well.
It's actually very interesting. I mean, we had a nerf to teleport come through with this 9.2 patch and whatnot. Took like a 20-second cooldown nerf on there, and that seems to have been just enough for a lot of these solo laners to no longer kind of force themselves into picking this one up. We've been seeing a lot more flexibility in these solo lane relics. I mean, this time around, we're seeing a Beads by God Agent A, and then Mando's going for a Blink first.
I think most solo laners hate building teleport. They all want to get that Blink. They all want to get, you know, aggressive when they can and just look for the fights whenever they can. So whenever teleport's in the meta, I think they're all just collectively bored together. So whenever like a nerf comes, I'm sure they all just go into a Discord and say, all right, we all in agreement. No more teleport. All right, cool. And then they can all just get their Blinks and have fun in lane. Of course, God Agent A is worried about a little bit of that CC, so he is going to go with the Beads. But either way, I think they're happy not to get the teleport just because it gives a little bit more fun to the lane. You don't have to worry about, you know, oh, I wasted my teleport. He still has his. He can rotate, etc.
Well, we do see the 2-1-2 split here as far as the camps were concerned for Lean Into It. Meanwhile, the other way here, SOPS time was putting their mid laner with the jungle. Now we'll see Jingu Bang rotate over, and God Agent A in danger, slowed down to oblivion between the bats and the slice and dice. One more auto is what they need to confirm this kill, but they can't find it on the God Agent A yet. But the bats on top, a good stun, but a slice and dice even better by Jingu Bang, who picks up the double kill on Navallo and gets SOPS time on the roll right away.
That seemed like one of those moments where, like, I could save you, you could save me, I could save you. They went back and forth, and they just were not able to save each other. They both ended up dying. I'm pretty sure that one of them could have made it out there, but they decided, you know what, we'll both use our abilities and just try to survive. 2 kills for the Nemesis jungle. At this point, Jingu Bang can pretty much go anywhere he wants. Once he finishes that first item, he's going to have a lot of pressure over Valo on this Kleena.
Yeah, that is not a great start, getting a double kill onto a Nemesis a minute and a half into the game. We almost saw another death in the mid lane. SOPS went up to use his Path of Flames to try and help clear the wave. End up dashing straight into a Persephone, dashing back with 3 plants under her feet, and got down to like maybe 100 health at that point. SOPS will be fine for now, but now this lead in this solo lane, the sustain that this Camazotz has, will make sure that Mando will feel no real threat in solo right now.
Oh yeah, there's 2 little passive pools there if he ever does want to heal up, so he's just going to be chilling right at that tower line. Of course, this blue buff is going to be looked at by Jingu Bang at this point. You just have so much pressure. There's no reason not to invade this buff right now. I mean, God Agent A is going to be in for some rough time if he tries to stop it. It looks like he doesn't have a dash available.
Good stun, but not good enough. Mando with another jump in. He says, who cares about a warrior? Assassins are where it's at. Look at the damage output that he and Jingu Bang are able to put out together. I mean, look at the damage chart just right here, Charlie. 900 damage out of God Agent A. That's all good and great. 1,100 immediately after by Jingu Bang and 1,500 by Mando. The next person under them is 300 in the mid lane, and that was like one ability rotation by Vi.
And then look at the duo lane. They haven't done anything
Nothing.
yet. When you're against an Izanami, you just say, you know what, we're just going to let her clear the wave. We're going to stay back because we're not going to have any sort of pressure in this lane as is. She just clears the wave so freely with those boomerang autos, so she's going to stay back and just clear as much as you can at this point. I'm surprised because, like I said, we've been seeing so much aggression towards that duo lane, and now it's just all towards the solo lane right now. Jingu Bang has already made, I mean, not even a rotation. The first one, he was just in lane. Now a rotation over to solo lane. And I can only imagine God Agent A is going to have an even rougher time as this continues.
I mean, there's even a frenzy in the duo lane. I mean, Bolden over here and Bitey have picked up a frenzy / beads just to make sure that they can play aggressive. The other side, it's a double beads at a dashboard and Chinfu, so they don't want to have to play aggressive. But yeah, I mean, 0 player damage across the board for the duo lane. All the action has been over here in solo, and that's kind of been the name of the game today as a whole in the NESCC. A lot of focus has been put towards that solo lane.
Yeah, it just seems like right now people want to get their solo laners ahead and make big rotations, and it's been working out quite well, obviously. At this point, you have a level 5 Achilles that is down 2 kills at this point, so he still is just sitting pretty in lane, but it's those small wins that are going to continue every time that blue buff's invaded, every time those harpies are invaded. And then late game, you have a Camazotz that can just do whatever he wants, and God Agent A is going to have to decide, do I want to rotate or do I want to stay in and farm because I was invaded early, now I have to farm, and just that snowball is not what you want to start right now.
I thought maybe we were going to see something around mid. Instead, it could be around this duo lane. Dashboard will trade dashes with Bitey there, but Jingu Bang is still sticking around. A ward dropped over the wall for a potential purple buff invade out of Jingu Bang. You use the slice and dice. I mean, it's Bolden. Petrify hits 3 people. It's going to be a quick retreat now out of the way of SOPS time. Dash out by Chinfu and Dashboard, and they will be A-OK. Purple buff invade. Don't believe that actually ended up going the way of Lean Into It there. Hasn't gone back to pick up that purple. A nice little back away there, at least by Lean Into It, to try and keep them from going too far.
Yeah, it seems like Jingu Bang doesn't even have to rotate over for that blue buff at this point. It seems like Mando's got all the pressure he needs as SOPS gets very low, able to just pop those beads and hide under tower at this point. But Mando was able to invade that buff by himself this time, so now Jingu can put his pressure elsewhere. Obviously was trying to invade that purple buff there. Didn't really have any success. They just traded some ults and the purple goes to Lean Into It anyways. But now that this Nemesis has that pressure, you can go wherever she wants and try to make pressure, you know, in the duo lane.
As soon as that 5-minute Scorpion pops up, both teams immediately go to clear that one out. Total Totem of Coup control has gone the way of Mando Warrior. He hasn't gone back to base just yet. He's sitting 1-0-2 on this Camazotz. We're 5.5+ minutes in the game, and he has not elected to go back and spend that gold as of now. Very curious as to which of these shields he's going to be going in. I know Berserkers has kind of been the name of the game for some of these auto attack style warriors. But we see a shifter shield on the side of God Agent A, and it will be a Berserker shield here for Mando.
Yeah, every time I play Camazotz right now, I try out this build, get a Shoguns in there. Just when you're, as a Camazotz, when you're attacking that quickly, you just have so much fun, and it has a lot of sustain, as I was saying. So, you know, as long as you're hitting your abilities consistently and then just spamming auto attacks, you're going to sustain just fine in lane, especially against an Achilles who doesn't really have much sustain as is when he's this far behind. Looking at this, Bolden is completely stuck.
Bolden has nowhere to go. Valo wants to try and get something going. He's already dropped the Veils, though. Big Dark Portal puts Valo at critical health, and he'll be able to slither his way on out of there next to Bitey. But 1 kill in the way of SOPS time here. That puts them up now 4-0, 6.5 minutes in. And SOPS might want to be careful. He's had this dance with Vi a couple of times. He's always come up on the losing end of that trade.
Bitey is trying to defend his purple buff here, but I don't think he's going to step up. Maybe if he bounces the spit off of Jingu Bang, but nope, he can't step up to this buff right now. I mean, this Nemesis, wherever she's at right now, you've got to be careful. She is 2-0, already has that Jotun's finish, and it's just working on the hi-rez. Once she finishes that, I think Mifflin said it earlier, one of the best characters right now for auto attack resets with that hi-rez. So she just has a huge power spike there.
It'll be a little bit. It was a 2-0 start for Jingu Bang. Did get that double kill over in solo, so should be able to finish up that item relatively soon. Still sitting on about 1,000 gold in hand at the very least there. But Gold Fury vision control will go the way of Lean Into It, so they'll know if SOPS time wants to try and take one of these objectives. But a lot of that burn for objective does go the way of Lean Into It, I'd imagine here. Kleena has been widely talked about, one of the better assassins to be able to start taking out these objectives.
Yeah, that short cooldown on her 2-charge ultimate definitely helps out there, obviously. And she did just come over and help God Agent A get a blue buff, which he has not seen in quite some time. So that's a small win going to go over to the solo lane at this point. You're trying to get every bit of farm you can right now, because again, once that snowball starts, your solo lane is very important, and if God Agent A can't get his items online, it's going to spell disaster for these early objective fights. So just the smallest bit of those blue buff help is going to go a long way over here.
So far, Mando up about 11.5 to 2 over God Agent A with this Camazotz solo. Does have that tier 2 breastplate. So on that back, went from round shield 1 to a full berserkers and a tier 2 towards breastplate. But another fight here in mid as Valo gets some damage on the SOPS, put down to half HP of his own. And Bolden gonna take a lot of poke there just from Jingu Bang. Dashboard holding him in place of that CC. But nobody will go down just yet. And no relics expended either here. I think that's the most important part of this fight, is nobody burning any of their defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, it seems like Bolden's always going to be the target here. No purification beads enabled, just that frenzy. So anytime that Bolden gets grabbed or stunned by Agni, it's just going to be main target because he is frontlining right now. I'm really surprised they didn't have the DPS there. I think it was just because they were trading ultimates there and they decided to back off. They didn't want to dive too far just for a support at this point in the game. So Bolden was able to keep his life there and didn't really have to drop too much, just some Dharmic pillars, and he's going to back to base and try to get some gold online.
Duo lane that's been relatively quiet will continue to remain that way, at least for now. Vi loses beads in mid. Very aggressive dash and a dashboard on the Khepri. Valo again sitting inside that wall, wants to try and get some poke, get some pressure up here, but not quite enough to really threaten dashboard. Instead, it's a double stun out of SOPS. Bolden down to half, but it's a dash for dash there. And that will make sure that Bolden has the distance to get away.
Yeah, it looks like they're not ready to start looking at this Gold Fury just yet. A small lead for SOPS time, but still 5-5. Everyone is alive at this point. You're not going to pull that Gold Fury, especially looking at the health bars right now. So back to the old farm game, and once again, Mando is going to try to steal this away.
Does manage to get it even through the Veil, so that's a blue buff successfully stolen by Mando Warrior to continue that lead and keep up that pressure in the solo lane. And you can see the threat it's been putting onto the tower there for solo lane 2, down to half health, 2,500 plus gold, and over 3,000 XP that SOPS time has in the lead so far over Lean Into It. 10 minutes in, 4 kills up. SOPS time off to a slow but very methodical start.
A 1-level lead for everyone on SOPS time, barring Mando Warrior, who has a 2-level lead right now. So if you did think these gold leads were just like small little gold leads right now, it's really going to start mattering once everyone tricks over to 12 and gets that second relic slot. That's when you're really going to see the aggression start to pick up for SOPS time.
We haven't seen one of these in a long time. And I can't call it right on the nose 10-minute Pyromancer, but might as well be here. That objective goes down, adds another 500 gold to SOPS time to keep that lead going up here. But now it's just the Gold Fury up on the map. Lean Into It. We're already positioned towards it. Valo in the wall, though. We'll need to use that passive to get themselves out of the wall before they start taking too much damage. Ultimate by Jingu Bang. And a bone rush by the mid laner. Puts some damage on the jungler. Mando Warrior's here, though. And the Bat Out of Hell swoops up against 3. Bomb just off the mark by the mid laner. Jingu Bang will back himself off along with Mando Warrior. The Gold Fury started up, but not sure that's the full call they want to make.
This is when the solo rotations are going to start to matter. God Agent A still pushing the wave. Mando made over, but looks like they're not going to get anything off it. If they did kill Valo, maybe that pull happens. But at this point, God Agent A made the right call. I'm just going to get all the farm I can over here, try to farm back up, try to catch up in any way I can. No kill, no Gold Fury. I think God Agent A made the right play.
Yeah, God Agent A will also get a Totem of Coup, help out the team a little bit, get some of that gold and XP out there. And just kind of show up a little bit of that gold lead. Still down about a full item's worth. He hasn't had a chance to go back to really purchase in towards that second shield. Now the tower shield up for God Agent A. Mando Warrior did go back, got tier 2 towards what I'm really only going to imagine is probably going to be that Shogun's Kasari. It seems to have been kind of the go hand in hand when you pick up these Berserker shields. Yeah,
I do think that he's going for an auto-attack oriented build here. With the Death's Embrace late game, he's just going to be slapping away with his Batwing so quickly. I'm telling you, it's a fun time, but it also has a lot of sustain, and there is some value to be had there. Especially just getting your AoE for your team. Everyone gets some auto-attack progression, so everyone gets the benefit there. I do think that's what he's going to be going there. On the other side, though, looks like God Agent A is deciding between another physical item, probably the Glad Shield in this case, because of the resets.
Potentially so. Mando, not the tankiest so far on this assassin, but quite a bit of sustain into his kit, as you were highlighting, will mean that he can take these trades under Tier 1 Tower. No, it will not be Glad Shield. It will actually be a Berserker Shield here. So both of our not so auto-attack centric solo laners will be going for at least an auto-attack centric style of item.
At the very least, you get some percentage pen online for God Agent A. He is dealing with a lot of physical protection right now for Mando Warrior, so that is going to help out a little bit. As SOPS time positions over here around the Gold Fury once again.
Bolden dashes away from the root coming out of dashboard. SOPS will find a double stun and a big bomb onto Vi. Half health now on the Persephone. Vi will be able to get a little bit of health back with the flowers. But Jingu Bang will throw out that ultimate onto just Bitey, pushes that Hunter back, and sets this team up for the Gold Fury. But SOPS time isn't willing to make a commit onto this Fury, not with this many members of Lean Into It here, and not with Valos throwing out all these Veils. Now SOPS is on the receiving end of all this damage. God Agent A goes into the backline, trying to find dashboard, but God Agent A is the one eating a lot of the damage. Jingu Bang goes in to go right back into fight, but Dark Portal is off the mark by Chinfu. Silence is good, but Mando is healthy. Mando will go up into the bat out of hell and chase down Valo, while in the backline it's God Agent A zoning the rest of SOPS time out.
Mando wasn't able to finish either of those. He had so much damage there. Now God Agent A is able to turn on him here. It looks like no one is going to fall down right now. Just a slap fight that turned into nothing. Relics and ultimates have been used except for the Scarab's Blessing. And now they're just going to dial it back and go back to base. Nothing happened there, really. It was just a slap fight.
Yeah, everybody's just going for a heat check here, kind of a damage check. You know, how much can I do here? How much can I take at this point? And I think God Agent A realized that he's a little lacking in some of those magical defenses at the very least. I mean, SOPS already with the double flat pin by the time that fight breaks out. You can see what damage that this Agni is able to do. Second on the charts now, right behind Mando Warrior, of course. The 5,700 early on into the game, and with basically only 2 items. I mean, we always talk about how Agni really becomes a late game threat, especially at least once he gets these 2 items online first.
It looks like Mando just wanted to make me look foolish and goes for the Genjis instead. Still a lot of value there. It's not like you need the auto attacks to really get the benefit from this Death's Embrace. You don't need the Shoguns per se, but this Genjis is going to help out. Maybe he just felt like at this point needs those resets. Was not able to find those kills there. Probably needed like 1 or 2 seconds on Vampire Bats and would have been able to finish there. So he said, you know what, I'm going to go back and get that Genjis instead. Now I'm going to get that value that I need, and next time that dive will go much better.
Well, Bolden just wants to walk into the mid lane, but Mando Warrior, of all people, will not let that happen. He's playing the gatekeeper to the lane at this point. He'll deny any farm towards this Ganesh. And meanwhile, it'll be Jingu Bang on the other side of the map, who's getting a little bit of farm in the solo lane this time around. But taking a look across the builds here, Bolden going for an item that seemed like it was like a staple for just about every support, but we haven't been seeing it as much. Pridwin picked up here by this Ganesh. How do you feel about the item?
I mean, once they buffed Breastplate, I didn't really see a use for Pridwin anymore, because Breastplate just gives you everything Pridwin does, except you also get those 2 great glyph upgrades, both very useful in their own right. However, Pridwin can be that burst of shield that just surprises the enemy. You think you're about to kill the support, gets that big shield off. Not only does it give the shield, oh, hold that thought, Bitey's getting aggressed upon.
Bitey's fighting a 2v1 here, and so far losing this battle. The Petrify is already down, but the Bat Out of Hell is here. Mando diving in, but will not use that 3rd swipe to go up against this Medusa. Valo will scream in through the walls, but not find anybody, and instead will regroup with the rest of Lean Into It. But all the while, SOPS time, starting up this Gold Fury. Mando Warrior, once again playing Gatekeeper, this time to the objective. Has to use the beads quickly to jump back away. Gold Fury's going down, but maybe not quick enough here, because Lean Into It, and Valo specifically steals this one away. The Tear of the Veil comes through big, and they're able to steal an objective out from under SOPS time's noses and close up a little bit of that gold lead.
It looks like Bitey was just the bait on the table while they wanted the Gold Fury, which was the big prize. Luckily, Valo sniffed that one out, was able to steal it away at the last second. And now, I mean, there still is a sizable gold lead towards SOPS time, but at the very least, it doesn't snowball out of control. You have yourself a little bit of wiggle room now if you are Lean Into It, trying to get back into this. A firefight is really what you don't want to lose at this point, so they still have not lost anyone in quite some time. These fights have been going pretty well at this point, so just get your farm game up, try to win a fight at fire. Once you actually engage, I think they're going to be having a much better time. These have all been defensive fights they've been taking.
Yeah, so far, these last 8 or 9 minutes of play have just been slapping damage across the board and not really getting any kills. We finally had an objective go down, at least with a fight in that last one there, but stolen away by Lean Into It. Means that SOPS time can go back towards the Pyromancer. They grabbed this one about 7 minutes ago, and they'll grab another one here, this time secured by the mid laner. SOPS will not let another objective go away to the hands of Lean Into It. Another 500 gold, and another objective taken off the board.
Bitey opting to go for the Atalanta's bow this time around instead of that Aussie we usually see in that slot. You do get a lot of healing if you opt to go for that Death's Embrace over the Death Temper, so maybe just doesn't feel like you really need that lifesteal, but it looks like a little bit of a skirmish is happening over this tier 1 tower. Lean into it, not ready to let this go just yet.
First charge of the ultimate from Valo did go off. The second one still waiting in the wings inside that wall. We'll see if it ever really pops itself off. I imagine once the minion wave pops through, that'll pop that one, unless it happens to be one of the members of SOPS time. Dashboard, I think he's trying to bait it out there. Will do so. That's the good thing about going against those cleans. You do have a small window whenever it actually activates before the damage goes through there. So we'll remove that second veil off the map.
Yeah, they're not. I still think they're positioning, trying to get this tier 1 tower. They don't really want to pull the Pyromancer because that's already off the table. They don't want to go for fire just yet. Gold's obviously gone as well. So they're just seeing, like, can we get this tower? It's so weak at this point while Mando tries to steal away the Obelisk, taking a lot of damage over here.
Valo is swinging right now. Penetration galore on the side of this Kleena. Mando does have a bit of defense here, but you can still see the amount of power and the amount of damage that Kleena is able to do. And it's part of the reason why she was still kind of feared in that jungle role. Was sure she doesn't offer an immense amount of CC, you know, a slow and a silence, but that damage value is just absurd of what she can do.
Yeah, especially in the wall, that's really unavoidable damage at that point. You can't really get her out of the wall at that point, so if you're trying to siege a Phoenix and she's just hiding, it's very difficult to deal with. But at this point, Valo really has just been poking people and stealing objectives. Not really gotten too active at this point, 0, 1, and 0. But I do think late game Kleena really is able to shine around these Fire Giant pits if she can get into a wall, especially the Fire Giant wall specifically. If they're trying to pull it and she gets inside, it can be very difficult to try to pull that objective with a Kleena around.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced firsthand how much this god can do in any kind of tower, Phoenix, siege, or defense. You go into the wall, you pop a couple of those veils in, and you just watch the damage values, you watch all the healing just start to skyrocket there. We'll see how Valo transitions towards this late game. A 2-0-2 start, though, for Jingu Bang. And, again, 4 kills so far in 20 minutes. Feels like I'm watching more of the common EU style of play where you get one pick here, get some objective play, get a pick there, get some objective play. But finally, we'll see this tower go down that SOPS time has been hammering at bit by bit for these last few minutes. Tier 1 in mid lane, finally down. Maybe even Mando. He's got Bat Out of Hell, so he'll be just fine.
Yep, just gonna use the Bat Out of Hell, go back to base here. Once they got that tier tower, I think that was a big mental victory for SOPS time. They've been poking away at that for quite some time now, but a few members have leaned into it, circling around this Fire Giant pit. They know that a few members of SOPS time have backed, but it looks like they're not confident enough to pull this objective without at least a pick of some sort. Looks like they're just going to be pressuring around here. The Oni Fury will be spawning soon, so maybe that's going to be the next big contention point, unless something crazy happens in the mid lane.
In less than a minute on that Gold Fury coming back up. It's a full 10-man grouping in this mid lane. Valo screams through the wall to get some damage there up against SOPS time, but nobody really poked too heavily here. I think interesting to note there is that we are seeing a couple of heart wards this game. It's an item that kind of went away, and even with all the glyphs that it received, even one of those glyphs receiving a pretty heavy nerf, but it's the one that God Agent A does end up going towards here. Amulet of the Stronghold, picked up here in the Soul Lane. An interesting pick. Tell me a little bit about this one.
I love Amulet of the Stronghold. I think it's the only real magical defense item you ever need right now, especially into a heavy Fizz comp. It just benefits you whenever you build your physical protections. That turns those into protections that you can just use. It also gives the aura to your team still, as we have a Fire Giant pull from Lean Into It.
It's going to be Dharmic Pillars dropped down by Bolden to try and burn this one away, and they're committing a lot to the objective, but not a whole lot to the 5. Fire Giant goes down. It does go the way of Lean Into It. But can all the players make it out of this fight? Vi is being chased by Mando Warrior. Has to use the Aegis to get away from the Screech. But Mando is slapping away on this Camazotz. Spidey is left out all by his lonesome inside the blue buff. And Mando picks him up. God Agent A will quickly use that ult to get out. But now it's just Bolden left all by themselves in the blue buff their own. Valo screams, but not going to be enough damage as the Aegis is good. And Chinfu picks up the double.
I think that was the first use of Scarab's Blessing we have seen all game, and it was clutch, and it worked out and all that. But Chinfu made the sick rotation, got off the Oni Fury, made it just in time. Such a sick Dark Portal, despite the Fire Giant going the way of Lean Into It. 4 dead and a tier 2 tower, and at this point you can just back reset, get all the farm on the map. It's just not worth it at that point. If only 2 people actually make it out with FG from Lean Into It, they're not going to be able to do anything with that.
I mean, and the 2 have it is God Agent A, so you get some more sustain on your frontliner, but Vi's not going to make a whole lot of use out of it. You lose 3, and then you lose the tier 2 tower right after that one. A very gutsy play out of Lean Into It, and if they could have made it out, it would have been great, but as you say, Chinfu making a very clutch rotation over, and what started at the Oni Fury for Chinfu will now end on this play at the Oni Fury. As that one goes down to SOPS time, they continue to expand this gold lead up over 6,000 that this team has amassed here 23 minutes in. And unfortunately for Lean Into It, they still haven't been able to find a kill so far in these fights.
Yeah, it seems like any chance they ever have is just going to be stopped by Scarab's Blessing there. Obviously, God HNA had already used the Execute, so there was really no hope of ever killing SOPS there. It seems like the one thing that Fire Giant call did do, at the very least, is delay this game, maybe get some people tick over to level 20, upgrade those starter items, because as of right now, Lean Into It has one upgraded starter item from Valo, and that's about it. So maybe at this point you say, hey, SOPS time is going to have to wait for next FG to begin this Phoenix push so we can get some upgrades in that regard, and then look for a real Fire Giant fight then. Hopefully that's what you're looking at, because right now, I mean, SOPS time has everything they need except for that fire buff.
Yeah, right now, just buying their time as much as they can. Delayed this game has been by Lean Into It as they wait patiently. Still 2 tier 2 towers left up on the map that they can defend. The Oni minion's not going to get a whole lot of value here, as they weren't able to get anything in left side, and they shouldn't be able to, as Bitey and Vi are here, so that tier 2 tower will be safe from the minions at the least. Oni minions on right side, there's no towers for them to grab, and certainly will not be able to have the presence to take down the Phoenix all by themselves. But we do see SOPS time grouping up in this mid lane, grouping up towards left. It seems that SOPS time does want to put their attention towards mid, as Lean Into It to focus more towards this left side.
Yeah, smart play by Bitey not going up to clear those Oni minions there. Probably sensing that someone could have been close by. Jingu Bang was kind of rotating around, just seeing if he would post up there. But it looks like Lean Into It, despite getting that FG, despite having it on 2 members still, they still do not want to position too far out of this tier 2 tower range. That's about the range where none of them really want to pass right now, besides Valo creeping up a little bit, but very safe on this cleanup pick inside the wall, so not pushing up too far.
Well, Mando will solo Pyromancer while the rest of his team groups up on the left side of the map. Flowers running down the lane here by Vi as he sends out his little minions to deal some damage through, but not really a full commit by anybody on SOPS time right now, just kind of casually clearing out minions in the left side. Mando cleared an objective of his own and is now kind of pushing up some of these lanes, but it does feel like SOPS time is just trying to, kind of play around this last, few seconds that Fire Giant is up for Lean Into It.
Yeah, they definitely feel confident, but they also don't have that Fire Giant buff that can be so crucial for pushing. So they're not gonna dive right into a 5v5 under tower. They will do a little 4-1 split here, it looks like, but still that tower full HP right now. I have to imagine they're gonna back off.
And with all these flowers rushing them down here, Vi is making sure to keep SOPS time zoned away. But Lean Into It want this fight. Big grasp of death does hit Jingu Bang. Then he gets caught inside the Dharmic Pillars. That's going to be a beads out of the jungle to get themselves out. And now a turnaround Dark Portal just off the mark there as God Agent A stopped himself in place before going down. But now the Mando has joined in the fight. He'll swoop towards the back line. 2 go down instantly by the 2 assassins, making a third one here as God Agent A is only spared for a moment before SOPS takes him down. Bolden and Valo, the last hope for Lean Into It in this team fight, and they will fall just as quickly. It's a double kill for Jingu Bang. It's a deicide for SOPS time, and game 1 may very well be over here as it's 35 seconds until anyone is back.
That really seemed like Lean Into It had such a sick engage. I mean, the grasping death from downtown far by the Dharmic Pillars, but they just did not have enough lockdown, and after that, Mando came from behind, was able to clean up so much. Just a great turnaround fight by SOPS time. They had the lead, they had the damage, they had the upgraded starters, and they're going to have game 1.
And what a great bait there. I mean, Jingu Bang eating that ultimate there out of Vi at the very end. The Dharmic Pillars pop down, 2 major team fight ultimates burned in an instant. All he does is pop beads, and Jingu Bang has gotten himself out of there. And a great turnaround and a great rotation from Mando Warrior, who'd been really hovering in that mid lane for the longest time during those fights, Trelly.
Yeah, it seemed like, again, they were going for that 4-1 split. 4 people over here, Mando pushes down, and then they decided, you know what? Lean Into It's going to try to capitalize on this, and the Camazotz just swoops back over, and, that swoop is what he did.
And so SOPS, I can't even say words here, and so shall SOPS time take game number 1. We'll take it to a break, and we'll come back to break down game 1 and get you guys set up for game number 2. of a slow burn in game number 1, but Control never left favor of SOPS time. If I'm not even mistaken, a complete blank here in game number 1 as SOPS time close out our first game in this best of 3 set and immediately put Lean Into It on the back foot. Now they're the ones who are going to have to fight back for their chance to survive in this best of 3 and try and fight for that one spot there in the SCC for North America. It's J-Mac and Trelly joining me back here for game number 2 and breaking down game number 1. But like I said, man, game number 1 felt like SOPS time just, one, never let off the gas, at least in the first 10 minutes of the game, but also just never lost control of that game.
Yeah, I think slow burn is the good term. I think Jingu Bang found a lot of success in that solo lane early on, getting those 2 kills, and then just, slowly but surely got a little bit of picks here and there, and then it just became that once that Fire Giant went down, even though Lean Into It were the ones who were able to get it there, it was just, they were able to take everything they needed at that point. The lead was there.
I'll criticize Mando every day of the week for not playing the Warrior, but if his assassin play is going to look this good in the solo lane, I can't critique him too much more beyond there. Strong play out of Mando, out of Jingu Bang. SOPS even getting some nice damage here. And Chinfu, as much as I want to sit here and praise everything he did, I mean, he came in and made the best plays at the times that he could, especially that one fight right here specifically after the Fire Giant goes down, rotates away from that Oni Fury as you called, and ends up making a big impactor in this team fight.
Yeah, I think that it was the right call to drop that Oni Fury specifically and just go over and have that huge Dark Portal there, and that was the reason that they were able to kill at least 3 in that situation, because I think more of them could have gotten out with FG, and that could have been pretty traumatic, but they were able to get that in this sweet team fight here that turned everything.
Yeah, I mean, started out with Vi hitting a crucial ultimate up against Jingu Bang at Dharmic Pillars immediately afterwards, but once Mando Warrior rotates over to that fight, there's absolutely no escape for anybody through. I mean, Valo spends so much time in the wall after the fight is done that he can't output the damage to help out his team, and Mando and Jingu Bang able to close out a nice team fight there and get their team that much closer to a spot in the SCC. No deaths here on the side of SOPS time, so it is a complete blank here in game number 1. And as we look towards game number 2 here, Trelly, what are some of the adaptations that we need to see from Lean Into It to, well, not only just get a kill, but potentially bring themselves back in the set?
Yeah, see, with a game like this where there's pretty much no high points because you got no sort of kills, you got no sort of leads anywhere, I think you just have to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what we did last game didn't work. I just don't think there's one thing you take off the table in this regard that's going to shut down this SOPS time comp. At the very least, maybe the Izanami say, hey, they had too much pressure in dual lane. That was a start, because obviously the solo lane pressure was lost from the get-go. But, hey, if they didn't have that Izanami, maybe we could have looked towards that duo lane. So take that Izanami away, maybe play into that regard. Say we're going to try to get some pressure over there. And or say that Nemesis got us, kills there. So, hey, let's get rid of that Nemesis and play off that solo lane.
Let's see what changes up here in game number 2. Picks and bans ready to go for Lean Into It versus SOPS time. And I think kind of going back towards that solo lane, that has been the name of the game here today in North America. Set number 1, 2, and 3 has all been about getting that pressure in solo lane. I mean, with all the starts that the supports have been going, these frenzies, these sprints, these horrific emblems, you would imagine that all of that pressure is going to be going the way of dual lane. You want to get those fights, but like we saw in that last game, 0
Connection has been lost. All of the online networks are down. Biotechnology has been successfully implemented. The new era has begun.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Sorry about the delays. Hopefully we can get everything nice and rolling here. Game number 2 between Lean Into It and SOPS Time. SOPS Time now 1 game away from making it into the North American SCC. And going back into the picks and bans, we were talking about the strengths that this Bass deck can provide, and the fact that if you don't want to play it yourself, you definitely don't want to give that one away to enemy teams. Same can be said here for Amaterasu. That does get banned away by SOPS Time for their second ban.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like right now this meta favors those counter bans and counter picks, because, or not necessarily counter picks, but the counter bans specifically, because there's so much that you don't want to deal with right now, especially in the jungle and these supports, these oppressive duo lanes that are being drafted right now. So I just think right now you don't say, hey, any of those picks that SOPS Time picked we have to get rid of, and it looks like that's the route they're taking as well. You can't ban that now.
Flourish.
Hello again, and apologies one more time for the delays. You know what? Normally we would say, blame Jithens on these kinds of things. It's always the running meme. I'm going to throw a blame Billy out here today. This is the first time that he's gotten control of the Smite Pro account, at least for, one moment here. And I'm sure this isn't even his fault on this one. I just want to throw a blame there because that's the first thing that we've changed up today. But anyways, J-Mac and Charlie back here. Game number 2 between Lean Into It and SOPS time. We've gone through the bans, Fender and Cirquette. The last one's there, the Persephone on the side of Lean Into It. And now, Izanami will be the first pick here for SOPS time. No surprise, though. Chinfu's really been loving this god.
Yeah, it seems like if you're leaning into it right now, they seem confident with that mid pick and that mid matchup. I guess Vi really liked that Persephone pick. Didn't think there was anything wrong with it. On the flip side, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Chinfu had a great game on Izanami. It got the pressure they wanted. It got everything they needed there. But this is a little bit different here. That Daji does have a great matchup into the Izanami specifically, as well as that Gilgamesh that has already been locked in for SOPS time. So the Daji pick, I think, is going to do really great here.
And throw a Horus in the mix there. That's a lot of extra CC and a very easy god to burn some of these beads away. Kind of one of those things that's always talked about with Daji is the ability to burn beads outside of just her Pal Lao. That way she can capitalize on it here. Persephone and Horus seem to be the perfect opportunities there. There will be a Khepri one more time. And it's something that you kind of pointed out during last game where we were almost 20 minutes into the game before Dashboard ever used the Scarab's Blessing. Maybe we see some changes on that here, though, Charlie, game 2.
See, if you didn't watch that game, you'd think that was a bad thing, making fun of Dashboard. But in reality, there was just no need to ever use it. No one's health bar ever dropped below that threshold to need the Scarab's Blessing. So 0 kills, 1 Scarab's Blessing. So that was a good thing. I just want to, if you didn't see that game, it seems like you were like, man, this Khepri guy, he couldn't hit null. But really, he just didn't have to. That's how commanding SOPS time was last game in that regard.
And SOPS time will stick with some top bans here. Fearing God Agent Achilles himself, they will ban that Achilles out. Also just because the fact they do have a Khepri, so it's good to ban Executes out. And a Medusa to boot with there. And then Hell and Tiamat. Tiamat makes a little bit of sense here. I mean, Tiamat's kind of been poking her head out as one of these mages that players are still kind of falling back to. I think Hell outside of Moswall might be the biggest head scratcher for me, though, Trelly.
I was about to say, unless you're facing Moswall, I don't think right now Hell needs to be on the top of your ban list. She did have a little bit of success right when this season came out, where everyone was kind of running her in ranked, and they were like, this pick works really well with the Chronos Pendant meta, the Chronos Pendant, Breastplate, Book of Thought, that sort of thing, Book of the Dead. But right now, we're not seeing too much Hell, so maybe that was just a throwaway ban. They didn't really feel like they needed to prioritize a mid laner that much, and they're just like, we can ban Hell just in case. So healing's annoying, cleanses are annoying for the Daji. I do understand where that was coming from there. And it looks like they're just going to take the Baba Yaga here. SOPS, we've seen a few highlights of him play that Baba Yaga already, so this was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I've seen some successes throughout the weekend here on this Baba Yaga. Only 2 games played, 50-50 so far on the win rate, but a lot of damage nonetheless. Couple that with a Bologna out of SOPS time to round out the bottom 2. And then Kernanos and Osiris, interestingly enough. Osiris has always been talked about with these auto-attack warriors, whether he flexes in out of the meta. Jungle for so long has been seeing some shots back over there towards that solo lane. And then Kernanos, with some of his recent buffs, has brought himself back into the meta here. Game number 2, though, between Lean Into It and SOPS time. SOPS time 1 game away from qualifying to the NASCC. And Lean Into It would have to fight their way back from the loser's bracket if that happens. But a good win here, Trelly, can bring them back in and take us to a game 3.
Obviously, Daji is scaring most of the opposition here. Beads is the pickup for 4 out of 5 members, but Mando, not too worried about it. Does have that that ult if it needs to be, so just going to go ahead and get the teleport there, which we already said people were going away from that teleport, hopefully, and it looks like Mando decided, you know what, I'm just going to go just in case. I got you in that headspace where I'm probably not going to get it because it's a Daji, and now Mando has that extra level of security where, maybe if I get poked out here, I can just teleport back in. You're going to lose a lot of farm if you try to back.
Man, we're back in like some Season 2, Season 3 nonsense with Bologna versus Osiris. The only thing that we're missing is a Xing Chen. Right, that's the only thing that we're missing in this meta. And that would be right up Mando's alley, too, because he loves playing that Xing Chen solo.
Oh, yeah. I remember being at Worlds when those gods were locked in and everyone was going crazy. We're like, Bologna, Xing Chen, Osiris, these are the only solo laners we know right now. But now at least you get a little bit more. I mean, the meta is different, but the picks are the same. You know, Death's Toll, Berserker Shield, those items weren't that actually, Death's Toll was, but Berserker Shield was definitely not a thing back then, at the very least. So we're going to see some interesting solo matchups, not opting to go for that 2v2 in the solo lane strat this time. Daji is in the middle lane right now, and Gilgamesh is going to be going to those back camps. I mean, Gilgamesh in the mid lane, Daji is going on the Totem of Ku over there in that regard. Yeah,
leaning into it. Still want to go with this 2-1-2 strat of theirs they pulled last game. And SOPS time will stick to the more traditional that we've been seeing up until these last couple of weeks of play. That will leave Mando Warrior to get some solo farm here in this lane, which means that he'll be able to spike towards that level 3 just a little bit sooner. Will lose some pressure as far as his camps are concerned in the jungle, because he won't have access to that Harpy camp there. Looks like that one got stolen away by Valo and Agent A. But for now, Mando will be just fine, just chilling the solo lane, just only a little bit behind so far in XP.
It looks like SOPS is opting to go for that Legion Helm start that a lot of people have been going to on the more immobile mages right now. Baba definitely not immobile, but when you do go into that home sweet home, you do have a pretty big hitbox in that regard, so maybe just needing a little bit more FizzD. You can stick to a Baba pretty well with this dodge pick, so maybe just recognizing that SOPS wants to preemptively get some defense just in case it does end up as Valo's target this game.
And one of the worst feelings about Baba, too, is when you pop that ult and someone's right at your foot and you can't throw that bolt right there. You got to throw it a little bit behind them or a little bit in front of you. Always feels bad. So two great gods to be able to stick to her in that sense between God Agent A on the Osiris and Valo on this dodgy. We'll see where that priority goes here. Last couple of games, it's all been about the solo lane matchup. Get your kills in solo, get Mando, get Agent A fed, one of these guys. Make sure that they can get ahead here. So I'm very curious as to where Jingu Bang and Valo are going to put their priorities here in Game 2.
Yeah, for me right now, it's Valo on this dodgy. I feel like he's got all the power in the world right now. He can choose where he wants to go. This pick is very strong once it hits level 5. Obviously, Dashboard was just forced to use the beads on that Khepri now, so that could be a target before that Scarab's Blessing is enabled. He did steal it away. God Agent A did secure his own blue buff despite getting invaded by Jingu Bang there. It's a great play to see because at this point, your blue buff is everything. You want to always have that on cooldown, and the second it gets invaded once, you're prone to getting invaded again.
And he does have Death's Toll, so he has some of that sustain. Now, I got to agree with you here. Being a solo laner and not getting your blue buff has got to be one of the worst feelings out there. You lose a lot of that boxing pressure. But fortunate for God Agent A, he won't have to experience that. He does get a blue buff to his name. He'll square up continuously against Mando Warrior. Level 5 is first on the side of God Agent A here. So we'll have access to that ultimate just a little bit quicker, but Mando should be just right behind him.
Yeah, again, Valo did tick over to 5 and is not really on the left side of the map. They did get Dashboard's beads down, but it looks like he is more focused on this mid lane, just farming up. I don't think he wants to force anything right now, but I feel like right now a first blood in duo lane would be huge for this side of the map if he was to go for it. But it looks just like Valo wants to get his farm game and doesn't really want to force anything until maybe he finishes that first item.
It's another 100 seconds on those beads cooldown, but Valo has not made their way over just yet. Instead, it'll be mid camps on the right side. Left ones, those enhanced camps with the offerings are going to be coming up here, and all the pressure in the world is to lean into it. Everybody on SOPS time has already gone back to base, so SOPS will miss out on trying to get that camp. So the first couple of big offerings, first couple of big neutral offerings, I should say, in the way of these mid camps does go the way of lean into it, so they can get themselves a little bit of extra early gold. But even despite the fact no real fights have happened just yet, SOPS time do hold a very minuscule lead at this point, a couple hundred gold up on the side of the Chaos team.
I gotta say, when your mid and jungle are ready for those offerings to be just rehashed there, when you get one at 358 and then you get it again at 4 minutes, it just feels so good. You get such a big burst of XP there, and then you also get the flowers so you don't lose too much mana here, but it looks like Jingu Bang might be getting caught out.
Jingu Bang beats very early. Valo still has that pal out. Only needs one of these 3 chains to connect, but won't find either of the first 2. Third one will grab Jingu Bang and pull him right back in, but a pull by Dashboard holds Bolden in place. It'll be a quick escape here from SOPS time. Nobody falling out. And Bolden using the ultimate just to get out.
I'm surprised that Scarab's Blessing was all it took to make sure that he does not die there, but it looks like Jingu Bang gets to hold on to his life for now and no sort of action. Still pretty much dead even right now in that regard. Looks like both red buffs go the way of their respective teams. So a good little brawl there, but nothing too crazy. Still pretty much even in every aspect of this game right now.
Yeah, still sitting very close here, 5 minutes in. Not these obelisks filled up just yet after that first rotation of the camps. Leaning into it with a very strong start into it. I mean, they got the beads from Jingu Bang before Paolau even connected in the midst of that fight. Bolden doing a great job on this Horus as that initial beads burner. But now that Dashboard has his beads back up, probably not the most ideal target for Valo to go over towards. Imagine maybe see a couple more fights over towards Jingu Bang with him.
Yeah, it looks like Mando's going to get a little active over here in the jungle, just letting his presence be known at this point. The wave's already cleared. He can kind of poke everyone out. I mean, once this Bologna starts rotating with the teleport, I think that's going to be a little bit of a contention point. God Agent A, again, not opting to get that teleport, so can't really match that rotation speed. We know Mando likes to get active with these Gold Furies early, so as long as Mando is keeping that wave pushed, maybe getting his proxy on at this point, he'll be able to make those rotations much faster than this Osiris.
So far, this macro play has gone in favor of lean into it. They've now gotten both of these enhanced mid camps, so they're going to get that extra little bounty of gold from those offerings. Meanwhile, SOPS time just kind of buying their time at the moment, seeing how long they can wait out this early game. I mean, we went like 0-4 for 10 plus minutes of for the first like 10 minutes of plays, where we got our first 4 kills, and then it went for almost another 10 after that before we saw another fight after that. So these two teams, just off of game 1, no stranger to playing for these late games.
Yeah, if I'm Jingu Bang right now, I'm not really seeing too many gank opportunities. I mean, everyone seems to be playing pretty safe at the moment, and Horus just brings so much pressure over in that duo lane anyway, so if you do step up, you're probably going to lose your beats just for trying to gank. Your only real contention point is looking at Mando over here and trying to get him ahead, but it seems like they're just clearing waves and playing the safe game at this point. No one really wants to lose anything. The only real win that I've seen at this point is that Bolden's team did obviously get the Interceptor for him, so he gets the little Shocky boy that follows him around, obviously, and that is, you know, that's the first real dub that we've seen for Lean Into It.
I've heard so many different names for Interceptor out here. Obviously, Interceptor, the technical term. I've heard Little Jimmy, I've heard the Scroll, I've heard now the Shocky boy. I've heard so many different things out here.
I had to make sure to use both names just in case.
Jinfu in danger, though, left side of the map. He'll be able to dash away, but Beads down with no purification within his own kit out here. No CC immunity. Makes another perfect target for Valo. Well, we saw in that last time there when Valo had a perfect target to use Beads, he didn't go towards that lane. But now with him hanging around these Oracle Harpies, could be a nice rotation to grab Chinfu.
I will say that Bolden is going to make Chinfu's life pretty miserable here. The Interceptor obviously does reveal characters from stealth, so even if Izanami does dash away, as long as Bolden's within range, the shock will reveal Chinfu and where he is. So as long as Bolden's at least a little bit close to where that dash away is, it's just going to reveal immediately where the Izanami's trying to hide in stealth. So I see that's why the duo lane is looking at pressure right now, and Dashboard taking a lot of damage.
Dashboard eats the grass to death, uses the ult to cleanse himself, and a Beads also to get away from the Pow Lao. That's the only reason that Dashboard makes it out of this fight. Vi eating a lot of damage from the Home Sweet Home out of SOPS. But another couple of relics burn, a few more ultimates. But nobody goes down just yet. Nearly 9 minutes in. Thought maybe for a moment Jingu Bang was going to try and jump in there, but no. Vi will be safe and sound for now as we approach 9 minutes, no kills.
I love what Valo was doing there, though. Just after that first fight was sort of posturing over towards that duo lane, knowing that Chinfu didn't have any beads available, but just playing too safe here. Dashboard also looking over. They know that purple buff's about to spawn, but I don't think Valo realized that everyone knew he was coming.
Valo doesn't have beads, doesn't have anything, does have a bit of healing, though, from Bolden, and a quick rotation over will finally net the first kill on the board. 9 minutes in, and it's Lean Into It. Getting a kill for Valo up on the carry.
By all means, that should have been a death on Valo, but Bolden came with the clutch stun. Obviously, the Bitey had a great ultimate as well. Everyone just chaining their CC so well at that point. Chinfu probably feels pretty bad about that one because he just wanted his purple buff, thought he was getting a free kill, and then end up dead.
It's not the greatest start over here in the duo lane, as Beads have been pressured off of both the carry and the support. 100 seconds till dashboards are back up. 40 or so till Chinfu regains that relic at the very least here. Mando Warrior, they're going for an interesting second item in this solo lane. We've been seeing kind of some shades of this Witchblade, but haven't seen too many pickups of it just yet.
It seems like Mando's really leaning into the fact that he can just 1v1 this Osiris and wants to continue doing that. Does have the teleport relic, as we've mentioned a few times now, so can go for the poke, back up, teleport back in, and then try to engage afterwards, or at the very least poke out back and teleport over to Gold Fury, clear a wave, do any sort of thing like that. So this Witchblade is pretty much going to make it so God Agent A, not only is he going to have a rough time clearing, trying to auto-attack this wave down, but there's no real reason that they should ever be boxing each other right now because Mando just wins it 10 out of 10 times.
SOPS, even after that Celestial Legion helm, does go for that flat pen in the Divine Ruin to deal with a little bit of that healing that Bolden has for his team. And on the other side here, Vi with the double flat pen, so not opting for Celestial Legion helm like SOPS has instead. Just making sure to go for that Deso and Divine. But we saw it in game number 1, and we're seeing a repeat here in game 2. SOPS time going for a very early pre-11-minute Pyromancer. And they're going to get this one. No contest yet again by Lean on into it. Instead, they've rotated over to this left side to get set up for the Gold Fury because it's only Jingu Bang in the area to stop this one.
Yeah, but it looks like they weren't really aware of it. I think they were just lining up for these oracles here, and then it just happens that Pyromancer went down. I mean, if you were paying any attention last game, you should have known that they have been looking at the respawn of the Pyromancer anyways, but this is that teleport I was talking about. Now Mando Warriors here. I don't think they quite caught wind of it, and now the winds of Samash are going to be going down.
Bank throws that and gets 3 away. SOPS, though, going to eat a lot of damage from Follow. Grasp of Death does catch the mid laner in danger. SOPS has to use the home sweet home to get away. Pao Lao finds a couple of big targets, but none of them are going to end up getting pulled in. And SOPS has to have the Scarab's Blessing used to keep them alive. Valo sitting far in the back line, but here comes Bolden back in, crashing right through the fight with that Horus Ultimate. Only going to bring himself in to get that extra bit of a shield. And SOPS time on the retreat after the fight.
That was all without their solo later god. Agent A has just made the rotation over now, and they are 5 strong. Obviously, SOPS had to go back to base, so this pull is looking pretty nice.
God Agent A does have ultimate. Only one left up on the board. Gold Fury very low. SOPS time. Stolen away. Another Fury goes the way of the opposite team to have started it up. And it's Scourge out of Mando Warrior that ends up taking that one away from Lean Into It to keep his team right back in and even out that gold that Lean Into It had just climbed up with.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just flipping a coin, right? They didn't have any crazy confirm besides maybe Persephone Burst, so at that point, you're just saying, hey, hopefully we have enough to just out-confirm this one below, and with a Scourge, there was some Kepri ticking going on as well, but at that point, Mando just had a great timing there. They get the Pyromancer, they also get the Gold Fury. Sopstein down a kill right now, but they did get the 2 major neutral objectives that are currently on the map besides that Fire Giant, and at this point, the gold lead is not that immense, but at least you have that mental victory of stealing those away.
Yeah, at least being able to even out the game has got to feel good for SOPS time, but still, it's very similar to game number 1, a very low kill count game, but at least this time around for Lean Into It, even having that Fury stolen away from them, they're at least able to maintain somewhat of a lead, if not at the very least break even, where in game number 1, SOPS time was up 4 kills by this point in the game. They had 4,000 gold that was steadily climbing here. So far in game 2, Lean Into It have at least been able to slow down the bleed that was really dragging him out in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, look at this duo lane here. We have a 2-level lead for Bolden, and then obviously Bitey's up 2 levels as well. So that's pretty much where that XP lead that you're seeing right now is. Mando trying to help even it out a little bit, 1 level up in the solo lane. But right now the duo lane needs to get their farm online, obviously. Chinfu has been playing pretty far behind ever since he did get the one and only death of the game, so trying to get as much farm as he can safely as Bolden takes a little bit of poke over here.
That's going to be Vi taking some poke from Jingu Bang and jump in right over the Grasp of Death. Vi has used the beads and the Aegis, but now that Valo is here, it's either bail out the mid laner, beads out of Jingu Bang to get away from the Pao Lao. Dashboard will use his as well to make sure that he doesn't get yanked right back in. The Home Sweet Home dealing a little bit of damage there from SOPS, but Bolden will make sure to keep the team topped off.
Looks like Lean Into It does have 3 ults available if they do choose to fight this, but again, what is there to fight over? There's really no major objectives up right now. Much too early to pull a Fire Giant 5v5, so it looks like they are just going to back off here. They don't really have anything they want to contest at the moment, so they're going to take that as a net even, just get some relics down and go back to the old farm game.
This really is just like watching a game of slaps. It's just seeing which team can smack the other one harder, wait a little bit of time. All right, I got my wind up ready. Let's see how hard I can hit you right back. And that's all that it's been so far. 14.5 minutes into the game has just been a game of slaps between them. And Lean Into It's the only one that's gotten a kill out of all of this, and it's just the one on the back of Valo. A couple assists from the duo lane here. And Bitey, I want to go back to Bitey here, because in game number 1, he did this same build, this same style of build. He's running it back here in game 2. Crusher, standard. Pretty much every Hunter has been running this one here. But the Atalantas and then into the Silver Branch bow. How do you kind of feel about this Hunter path, Trelly?
Yeah, I've seen this a few times. I think it makes a little bit more sense on the Cerno, specifically because you do have the built-in sustain, so you don't really need that Aussie. You already have the Death Toll, obviously, so if you do just want to go into the Spring stance on Cern, you get a little bit of healing in that regard. But Atalanta's bow, when this season first came out, it was very overstated, very stacked, took a little bit of nerfs, and right now, just because of where it was at in those nerfs, people think that it's fallen off a little bit, but I think the item still has pretty much every attractive stat that a Hunter would want at this point. It gives you the crit chance, the attack speed. I think the pen is where it was nerfed originally, so if you still do want that over the Wind Demon, I think it works out here, and I do think that Bitey has a lot of damage, a lot of specifically penetration against tanks and squishy characters, so I like the build right now. I think it's well-rounded.
I mean, I think the removal of that pin was kind of the big one there, and then you throw the fact that I think it still has some of that lifesteal in there too. I mean, what a crazy item that literally any hunter would die for having multiples of these. But it is another Pyromancer
And
this
Mando
time.
do it again.
By lean into it, will not. Scourge just a little off timing this time around by SOPS Time solo laner. So this time it'll go over to lean into it. Chinfu starting to slowly poke away at this tier 1 tower, closing up a little bit of that disparity in the golden XP there. As he was down 2 levels, an ultimate out of Bolden though will rotate the team over to the opposite side. It's all 5 chasing down Jingu Bang, who separate himself to divert the attention away from Chinfu. And it seems that that was just enough time. Chinfu still staring down the fact that God Agent A is here. But a great little bait there by Jingu Bang to make sure that they're not paying attention to his hunter.
Yeah, it seemed like Dashboard called that one out well before it even happened. It does take a little bit for that Horus TP to actually take into effect there, so the whole team was able to just get out of trouble. Obviously, Jingu Bang did come in clutch there. Lord of the Afterlife having to use very early on in this fight. I don't think that that pull would have done too much to him. He is a tanky force right now, already has Shoguns, but just wanted to make sure his HP does not go down.
The Eagles rally in the back line by Mando does find 2. Palau from Fallow will find a few targets to pull back in. That's a lot of damage by this jungler, but the other one is here. Jingu Bang in the back line with a big drop kick inside the winds will help take down 1. Valo is gone. SOPS picks up the double on the Vi while Chinfu grabs Bitey, and Bolden falling so low. Who was going to be the one to grab it? It will be Dashboard, and only God Agent A left alive. And it seems that SOPS Time will let this solo laner live and make their way back towards the Oni Fury.
From what looked like a beautiful Paolo into just a terrible fight for lean into it. Well played by SOPS Time. Dashboard having such a clutch ult there to make sure that no one from his team is able to fall there. I mean, that was just a perfect fight from what I like to call a perfect re-engage. Obviously, that Valo goes up into the Paolo, thinks that you have all this control with this pull here, and then you pull people in and you don't really have the damage to finish them. Now everyone's just around you, and obviously as Taji, once you've used all your kit, you're just sitting there to die, and beautiful ults. Everyone just played that one perfectly, and now you pretty much get everything you want, start back up, and Fire Up is going to be looked at next.
Talk about a gold swing too. I mean, 4 kills up for SOPS Time during that fight. An Oni Fury and a tier 1 tower nets them a 4,000 gold swing, 5,700 XP in basically the blink of an eye here out of SOPS Time. What an immense turnaround here at the 18-minute mark, getting that objective, getting those kills, and really turning this one back now. SOPS Time have finally gained control of this game.
Yeah, it looks like they just have everything they want to do now on this side of the map. So do they have the damage to try to pull this Fire Giant at this point? I mean, they have the lead, but I don't think that this is the point. It's only 18 minutes into the game. Despite that fight that we just saw that seemed like an endgame Fire Giant style fight, they still do not feel confident enough just yet. They do have the Oni minions dying down now at this point, so they are just going to dial it back. Still no one really looking to pull anything without a pick.
Fire Giant will be looked at by Jingu Bang, but only just to get some wards down, at least for the time being, or at least see if anyone from lean into it is going to make their way over. It is Valo fighting up against Jingu Bang. The winds have been used. The Palau is up, though. Will he be able to pull in Jingu Bang is the question. No, there's a Magi's Cloak. Blessing still holding him up there. That bubble will be popped, so there will be no pulling against Jingu Bang. Instead, it's an Eagles rally by Mando Warrior to the backline to find Vi, but a great cage will make sure to hold Mando in place, even if only for just a moment longer. God Agent A zoning in the backline, but Valo is the one who's in danger. Mando Warrior, with no regard for human life, is still zoning forward while everybody else's attention is on God Agent A. He will not make it out. Bolden can't get his teammate out alive. It'll be 1 down with SOPS Time on top.
That just seemed to me like God Agent A did not get the message that they were retreating here. Mando is trying to zone, but has no sort of HP. Scarab's Blessing is going to be used, and they're just going to try to retreat here.
Would be wise for SOPS Time to retreat. They do have the man advantage, but the ults are all down across the board. Mandos does get his back up momentarily, but instead will go back to base. Persistent teleport is available to Mando. He could easily get himself right back to this right side of the map. It seems that he will be able to do so. It seems that the teleport will go through to group up with the team. It's going to go right into the back, right up against Bitey. What a way to come back in to say, hey, Bitey, remember that fight we just had 15 seconds ago? Hope you're ready for another.
Yep, sometimes you like teleporting in right in front of everyone knowing where you are, but other times that's how you die, so it looks like Bitey did not notice until too late. Obviously, Mando, pretty tanky for this moment into the game, but I'm surprised that teleport got used. I thought maybe because he was CPing they were going to try that fire pull, but still not yet. Valo and Bolden sticking around, not backing yet, just in case they do opt to pull that Fire Giant, but they're just going to take the pick on God Age and A and just dial it back now.
For now, it'll be a retreat here, at least out of the aggression from SOPS time. Nobody level 20 just yet, though quite a few players on SOPS time getting close. 19s from Mando, SOPS, and Chin Fu, respectively, and 1 on the side for Bitey. There'll be a Balance Blade pickup as this 4th item up for Bitey. Do you think that this Balance Blade is going to go towards the Executioner to get a little bit of that extra pen out there, or do you think maybe this opts towards Chin size?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Chin size at this point. You already have the Silver Branch, so you have plenty of percent pen in that regard. Obviously, you have crazy attack speed anyways, so I think at this point you just want to get that Kin size, just more shred onto the tanks. I did see Shimigami go a similar build earlier, opting not to go for any sort of crit besides that Atalanta's bow, just getting the Chin size instead, going for that tank damage, because when you are this ADC that is getting consistently dove, you just want to make sure you're doing as much as you can to the people that are diving you, because you can't really get to the backline.
Yeah, we did see a little sneak peek there. 2.32 attack speed so far for Bitey. Hasn't even finished this item and hasn't hit level 20 yet. So that should get a little bit over the cap there once these items do finish out, and we'll see some of that Silver Branch bow passive start to kick in. Because really it's more so on the gods with stims in their kit that we see this item be so heavily favored on that Silver Branch, so you start seeing like 17 to 20 stacks whenever they get that stim procced up for that big power. Not too often we get to see it on some of these gods without those stims in their kit, though.
Yeah, ever since the buff where it got 20% pen, people are just building it to build it. Obviously, you do get those Shogun stacks, so even if you don't get the stim, as long as you build a certain way, you will be able to get a little bit of buff from the passive itself. But as long as you're getting the 20% pen, I kind of just took over, and people don't really want the dominance anymore because Silver Branch is just so overstated right now.
Fire Giant pulled by SOPS time. Mando Warrior and Dashboard at the front. They'll pull off the fire and instead go towards God Age and A, already down to half health on the Osiris. A heal from Bolden will keep him alive for the time being, but SOPS time can just reset themselves, get started right back on this fire, and try to bait in, lean into it as many times as they want to. I say that though, but Dashboard is eating a lot of damage from these flowers out of Vi.
I liked what Jingu Bang was doing, positioning towards the back, waiting for them to get a little bit overconfident here, but it seems like they're not taking the bait just yet, and they don't really feel confident pulling that Fire Giant, taking that damage, and then trying to bait it in the fight. So I like what SOPS time was doing. They just don't quite have the items to get away with it right now, so it looks like they're positioning over towards the Gold Fury now, but Bolden realizes this and is going to start up the FG.
Fire Giant started, but it's only Bolden here inside the pit, really. Vi and God Age and A will finally be joined by Bitey, but they're not going to do a whole lot to this FG for the time being. Instead, Valo being chased out in the mid lane by the rest of SOPS time. 5-1 on the kills, 24 minutes in. SOPS time have around a 6,000 gold lead that really exploded out of nowhere. I mean, it was a dead even game barely even 5 minutes ago, and then one team fight kicked the door wide open for SOPS time, maybe with this Primal Fury that can get the ball rolling once again to try and get something happening, but there will be no answer from Lean Into It on this one. That'll be a Primal Fury for SOPS time.
Yep, and Chin Fu finally ticks over to 20, so now that Death's Toll can be upgraded if Chin Fu wants. I think either one of these starters can benefit Izanami greatly here, so whichever one he decides to do is going to buff his damage numbers crazy, either his sustain or his damage respectively. Now, you still have to deal with the big Izanami power spike that you haven't had to deal with before, but it looks like Bolden is still leading the charge here. I still think they can confidently pull this FG and bait in a fight if they want to, because all of their carries are level 20. Everything they want to be level 20 besides Vi here is level 20.
Yeah, no finished starter item just yet, though, for Bitey. Did get that kin size, that extra attack speed, some of that extra health damage to some of these tankier targets. But at the moment, still just biding their time, waiting to see if SOPS time will jump into this game, jump into this Fire Giant pit, or maybe jump into the middle of Lean Into It. Dashboard will lead the charge for his team, so both these supports really wanting to play up to the front line for their squads.
Yeah, Dashboard is looking for those abducts right now, but look at SOPS, able to frontline because of this build that he's taken here. He's got physical protection, magical protection, he's getting mitigations from his starter. This Fire Giant is only about 50%, but it looks like they don't really want to commit to it.
Now they are going to drop it. Jingu Bang still sitting on the right side of the fight with that Magi's cloak to his name. So that bubble still holding true for the time being. And it's really only going to be Valo or Bolden to pull that one off. Bitey would have to expend an ultimate to do so. I guess the same for Valo. The Fire Giant pulled again. Valo rotating in. With Mando and Warrior right behind. Dashboard, half health. Winds of Samash used, only against one. Valo jumps into the middle of the fray. Bolden gets a big stun. Up onto one. Forces the home sweet home out of SOPS. And a Scarab's Blessing out of Dashboard. SOPS is not eating a lot of damage and buying as much time as they can for this Pow Lao to go through. But Valo only is going to be able to pull back in one. It's going to be Dashboard. And that'll be the first kill of the fight. And the second kill up for Lean Into it. Make it 2 in this fight. But Jingu Bang and Shinfu have also turned around to find 2 of their own to make it a 2-2 trade out.
And it looks like that's all it's going to be. Jingu Bang has plenty of room here to get out. He's going to let his teammates back as well, so the FG is not going to get pulled. And there's no sort of Gold Fury up to pull here. There's no consolation prize. If they don't get this Fire Giant, the best they could do is the Tier 1 in mid.
Tier 1 is very low, but Lean Into it is not wanting to go for this mid lane tower just yet, even despite how low it is. Instead, they'll go back to farming up through this jungle. A very slow game here in game number 2. Reason why not to. I mean, Lean Into it are 1 game away from being sent into the loser's bracket, and they'll have to fight even more for a chance at the NASCC. While SOPS time, they get this win, and they make it there. So they're playing as patiently as they can, not wanting to give up too much. Lean Into it. However, they are still slowly falling behind here. Now almost 8,000 gold that SOPS time have been able to amass here.
Yeah, the XP difference not so much relevant anymore because everyone almost has ticked over to that level where they get everything they need. Obviously, Bolden level 17 still hasn't upgraded his starter yet, but besides that, pretty much everyone who, you know, so to speak, is important and gets those buffs is level 20 right now, and supports have already ticked over that key level 17. So the XP lead not really coming into fruition here. It's really just that gold lead right now. Once I'd say SOPS time all finished their last items, that's the biggest power spike that is to come at this point. So once you get, you know, SOPS finishing whatever item he wants to get in that spot, that's going to be a really big power spike for Baba. I think he could probably get Obsidian Shard or a Rod up Tahuti there. Whatever he wants to go. He's going for this tankier sort of hybrid Baba, though, so he could even go for more tank stats at that point.
Could be. I'm keeping my eyes on this belt of the Berserker by Bolden to see when he uses that to get these fights going. Meanwhile, other side is a horrific emblem, tier 2 out of Dashboard for the team fight sense. Bolden goes in, finds the stun up against Shinfu. Still no beads popped by the Izanami just yet. Instead, he'll use the dash to get out. Grasp of Death will find Dashboard. A Pow Lao from Valo. How many is he going to find with this pull in? It seems the answer is going to be none as Jingu Bang is able to get away from there. Finds Vi in the back line and will turn around and get the kill there. But Jingu Bang should go down right after. SOPS does find Biting Mando Warrior, though, still on the cusp end of death. Will make it out with the help of SOPS' Scarab's Blessing. Make sure that Mando lives through. Dark Portal just off the mark by a good blink out of God Agent A, but Bolden will go down, and it's Mando Warrior to put him in the dirt.
I cannot believe that Mando was able to survive there, and SOPS was playing so aggressive with that home sweet home. This is what you can do on Baba with this sort of hybrid build. She was frontlining with Mando. How often do you see a mid laner that's not like the Morgan diving with the solo laner at this point? Just incredible play from this Baba Yaga. Overwhelming fight there. Obviously, God Agent A is sort of positioning, but there's no way he's going to make it in time to steal. SOPS time finally finds this Fire Giant.
After, what, like 10 minutes of dancing that we've had around this objective, SOPS time can finally clean that one up and put 4 players on their team with that buff. Jingu Bang the only one, and his team dying. That way his team can get the objective, get 4 kills. And now it's just a few towers left standing between SOPS time and knocking on the door of the Phoenixes. But for the time being, with how long they'd spent dancing around that objective, they will go home and spend up some of that gold, 2,800 in the hands of SOPS. Curious as to what his final item is going to be. And it looks like it's going to be a Charon's coin.
Yep, usually that's an item you want to build early on here, but you will be stacking it with the Baba passive periodically, so doesn't really need those kills and assists to stack it if he figures he's probably going to be running around for a while they collect these towers, so probably be able to stack that pretty quickly at this point in the game. They haven't really taken many risks as is, so they are just going to be running around getting that passive whenever he can, so I'm sure SOPS is happy to get some percentage pen online finally. This man has been doing so much damage, but it's mostly been onto the carries at this point. He was backlining, just pumping Vi with damage at that point, so SOPS has been able to go pretty much uncontested besides that one time when the Scarab's Blessing had to be used. SOPS has just been, you know, undying in this game. 4-0 on this Baba pick.
4-0 and 7. Primal Fury goes down. Another objective for SOPS time, and that puts him that much closer knocking on the door of the Phoenix. Tier 2 tower and left. Will not see any contest here by Lean Into It. They are not willing to step up to defend this one lone tower in this lane. And once the minions can get here, they won't really even need them, but they can have them to set up for the Fire Giant, that being SOPS time. But they won't even go towards it. Very surprising that they're not willing to put up a push on this left side. Instead, it seems that they're more concerned about just stripping the towers across the board.
Yeah, at this point, Chinfu still has a Deathbringer to upgrade. You have some relics that could still be upgraded as well. Dashboard has one more item to build, so I do think the small amount of gold that they're going for here can be used to strengthen their push. It's not EFG at the very least. I mean, I think they're just playing it slow because, as you said, if they do win this match, they're able to just say, hey, we made it into the SCC, this is the qualifier, we're done. As opposed to if they do make a big throw and lose this match, then they have to play through one more and then gamble with losers bracket. So I think they're just playing it safe, dotting their T's, crossing their I's, that sort of thing.
Well, while we wait here for a move to be made by either team, kind of looking at Lean Into It, these last couple of fights haven't been going so favorably towards them. Where is their win con in a team fight to put themselves back in this game, Trelly?
At this point, I think you just want to stay back and try to get a pick off of this Persephone right now. She's been on point with the lockdowns. Vi has been hitting Dashboard pretty consistently, but if you could get on a carry here, I do think Persephone has the DPS to just blow someone up right now. They are going for a 3-2 split this time with Mando and Jingu Bang going for that mid, which I imagine they're going to win pretty handily. Jingu Bang does not have the FG on him, it looks like, so he's not going to be able to have that increased damage as everyone else does.
This 3-2's not going super well, at least for the side of SOPS time. Chinfu eats half his health from the ultimate there from Bitey. The Phoenix, a little worse for wear of its own, 3rd HP on the bird, but still standing at the, to say the very least. Only ultimate used was Bitey's, and it does get the purification beads from Chinfu, so that relic of safety now down for the Hunter could be a prime target if Valo can get their hands on it. Meanwhile, SOPS with the home sweet home to fire some Witch Bolts in the back line and do some damage. Pao Lao in, will only pull Chinfu. It's a Scarab's Blessing right after. Chinfu will get the proc on it, will come back to life. The Phoenix goes down, and it's Mando versus 4, make it 5 now in the back line as God Agent A jumps in. But instead, it's the rest of SOPS time walking their way out. They've got their prize to the left side Phoenix, and they will make their retreat.
SOPS time had to use everything they had to get that Phoenix, though. I mean, that was 5 ultimates expended. Chinfu had to get the Solar's Blessing and die to the Phoenix just to get that reset to make sure that one bird went down. I mean, at this point, we're going to be going for EFG, J-Mac. I mean, they have the crazy gold lead, but it just seems like the team fight is not that overwhelming with the Phoenix involved. So they did get the best Phoenix on the map, that far left one, farthest away FG, hardest to defend when you are trying to push those fire waves out. So small wins for SOPS time here, but this is not an overwhelming victory at all.
Not quite yet. And Lean Into It, only losing the one Phoenix, probably the worst one to have lost when wanting to fend against Fire Giant. But it seems that Lean Into It are willing to put up at least one big stand on this right side of the map. Minions will hold out for a little while. For now, though, Lean Into It will just grab a Pyromancer, give themselves a little bit of extra gold, and reset themselves, because Fire Giant, enhanced Fire Giant at that, respawning here in just a couple of seconds. And SOPS time have prime position with minions, prime position with themselves, to just delay this as long as they need to.
Oh yeah, if I'm SOPS time right now, I am just sitting around waiting for those Find Your Minions to push. Someone is going to have to go, and there is no teleport available. Your best option is Bolden's global ultimate to go defend and come back, but Horus can't even clear the wave that quickly, so someone is going to be going to left wave, and someone is not going to be here for this EFG fight.
Someone's got to go quickly, though. 2 Fire Minions about to get into the throne room of Lean Into It. And it seems that Valo might have to be the one to go back, but instead it's in the front line goes Bolden trying to get some big damage out. Grasp of Death does catch Chinfu, and it gets a revive with the Scared's Blessing. Chinfu under fire, and Bolden in the back line with the old Pal out from Valo to try and pull anybody in. Vibe is having a box against Mando Warrior, who gets pulled right back into the Pal out, but Valo has nowhere to go. He jumped on by Mando, and Jingu Bang will be the one to try and put Vi in the dirt as SOPS grabs Bitey in the back line. Only God Agent A and Bolden, the front lines, left to try and stand against it, but God Agent A goes down to Chinfu. Bolden, not much else that he can do as Chinfu picks up the double, and SOPS time with only a half health Titan can walk themselves in, take game number 2, and force Vi to have the defense of a lifetime.
Bolden had to initiate then because the Titan was going down. Vi is up against everyone on SOPS time. That's all your damage, Persephone. You cannot defend this one. GG to SOPS time. They just made their way to the SCC.
SOPS time, a very long-winded battle here in game number 2. I mean, one of our longest games of the weekend so far, Charlie, at 35 minutes. And it looked very close there in those that first half of the game. I mean, it was in control on the side of lean into it there for the big point, but then we saw that one team fight, a four-man swing there. That SOPS time brings it back. They take control, and they take game number 2, I'm sorry, here, and the set. And we'll come back after a short break to break that one down and close out our day. Hello and welcome back to the NASCC SOPS time with a 2-0 victory to close out their run here and qualify themselves into that SCC, the fourth of 6 slots now taken up after a 2-0 win by SOPS time. A very long-winded battle, though, here at Shirley in game number 2. was not particularly in SOP's time favor to start this one out. That one did hold to lean into it. But one big team fight around that Gold Fury really turned the tables here for SOP's time.
Yeah, I definitely think that fight was everything that they needed there. Obviously, Mando coming in and stealing the Gold Fury as well didn't hurt at that point. It just sort of evened everything out. It was going, you know, like you said, it was very even, and then Lean Into It was starting to go away with it. But, I mean, once they just got their bearings on SOP's time, slowly but surely took that one away.
Yeah, it's not the easiest one to steal there with a Scourge either. And then we get really where the big turning point of the game goes through here, which is right after this Gold Fury. We get to another one that got fought over and ended up being a 4-kill swing here. I mean, SOPS essentially got to free cast an entire fight, and Jingu Bang specifically in this backline holding 3 people back with the wins. Clutch Scarab's blessing there at that very tail end by a dashboard really kept this fight going. I mean, SOP's time, this is the first time that we really saw them actually really fight back.
Yeah, I mean, once you see how much damage SOPS was able to do on the home sweet home, and this was a clutch Dark Portal to make sure Valor does not make it out of here as well, right there, stopping that dash. I mean, once that happened, this fight just went every wing that SOP's time needed here, and the clutch Scarab's blessing, even if they lost Jingu Bang, I'm sure they wouldn't have been too upset with how this one went.
Man, what a dream for SOPS, getting to dash in against 3 people. Look at the damage he's doing. Standing toe-to-toe with Mando Warrior and just popping out potion after potion with this cooldown that he had built up into his kit. With just the amount of raw damage that he's able to do. 5-0 and 11 here on this Baba Yaga. 5-1 and 7 for Chinfu as he picked up like a double, almost a triple kill at the very end of that game. And what a long one it was indeed here. Mando can't shirk anything that he did here. 2-1 and 14 on the Bologna. But SOPS, man, topping that damage charts, nearly 30k here in this game.
I think all you have to say about SOPS that game is that he built last item Charon's Coin, and it worked, and he got evolved Charon's Coin, I believe. So that's pretty much all you have to really say at that point. They didn't even get Fire Giant, and then they were just like, all right, we got Fire Giant, what item are you going to build? And he goes for Charon's Coin, and he stacks it.
Gets the Charon's Coin, stacks it up, and gets a win here. Let's take a look at the schedule, though, for everything that you've missed today. We had the Vamps, Sturdy Artisans, and Samsara all qualify alongside SOP's time into the NASCC. We'll see some more of the North American Challenger Circuit on Sunday, as you can see there. We'll take a look at the bracket to see how things have evolved with all of our matches up today. All of the teams that ended up losing today will now be waiting for their opponents in that round 1 of the losers bracket, where those winners will then face off against these guys. They'll then square off, and then we'll see which 4 teams are going to be fighting for the last 2 spots in the NASCC.
Only 2 spots left out of all the talent that we have seen today.
That's crazy.
I mean, I want a lot of these teams. I think a lot of these teams have what it takes to take those spots away, no doubt. I mean, just coming to my mind, the Fun Havers are in the losers bracket. Leoncitos are in the losers bracket. I mean, that's just crazy to me. So there's gonna be a brawl for these last 2 spots.
Yeah, a lot of talent in North America, but we've also got a second half of this bracket and a second half of our schedule to show you guys. The European side, tomorrow we'll be doing the same thing we've shown today, where it's all of our winners bracket side, where all 4 of these matches between Bisco, Just F6, Copyright Ogie Bogies, Belt Slap Thunderhead, and Winter Frogs and Late to Scrims, all 8 of those teams will square off for their first 4 slots, and just the same, losers of those drop down to the losers bracket. We have their whole run to figure out what are going to be the last 2 teams in the EU SCC. Remember, it's 6 teams per region squaring off here for a total of 12 teams here in the amateur side of the bracket. And just like in North America, man, tons of talent on both sides of the bracket for both these regions.
Yeah, it's fun to notice if you haven't been watching both sides. It's definitely fun to see how much the NA meta differs from the EU meta right now. Definitely complete different styles, sort of same picks, but it's just great to see how they command the map in different regions.
Yeah, we've really been seeing a lot of diversity between these 2 regions in their play so far. But that's all that we have for you guys here today, so make sure to tune back in tomorrow, same time, same place, for the EU Smite Challenger Circuit qualification round. We'll see you tomorrow. You can peach it.